Memorial Day has long been known as a holiday to celebrate and honor American soldiers. It's also the day that officially kicks off summer. But did you know that African Americans were the first to celebrate the holiday? Freed slaves founded the holiday in 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina on May 1st at a racetrack where Confederates held captured Union soldiers during the last year of the war. About 10,000 people participated, including about 3,000 black school children who paraded around the racetrack holding roses and singing songs. Black pastors delivered sermons and led attendees in prayer and spirituals, and there were picnics, kind of like how we celebrate today. But this story of Memorial Day has not only been excluded from history books, but appears to have been actively suppressed. Are we surprised? I mean, we are the authors of everything. We started Memorial Day in South Carolina on May 1st. How amazing is that?
That is very amazing. And that's why I'm really happy that we are doing this special episode today, because there are so many soulmates that don't know that. We talk about a critical race theory and banning Black history in schools and banning it on social media and TikTok and Instagram, trying to suppress our Black stories. And so here we are finding out there's somebody right now that is today years old that's finding that out. And so I'm happy that we got to share this story today.
Yeah, and according to Blight's 2001 book, Race and Reunion, the Civil War in American Memory, they're honoring. We're talking about 1865 when this all started off, because we're talking there was 257 prisoners had died and many of disease and were buried in an unmarked grave. So Black residents of Charleston decided to give them their proper burial. So it's important that we highlight those moments. These are people that fought for a country that we really couldn't call ours, and sometimes we still can't do that today.
Oh yeah, it definitely feels like we still can't call this country ours.
Absolutely. But just look at how rich our history is. And we continue to still fight today to have our history told in the history books, you know, because this wasn't a lesson that I learned in growing up, this story. So the fact that we get to bring this to you guys, soulmates, and we get to talk about it and celebrate Memorial Day and highlight, as you said, you know, the soldiers back in 1865 is amazing, because we had no idea that this was even a thing. You know, we're taught that Memorial Day is a modern day holiday and that we're celebrating the fallen soldiers, but we actually, you know, are still doing that, but it's also something that we started, and I love that.
You know, and also, too, for the advocates that are in a position to fight for critical race theory being taught in schools, this is also a teachable lesson, as Romeo likes to say, that this might be something to fight more of, because our young students, Mimi, great point, that we weren't really taught this in grammar school and high school. And so this, for those people who are in positions that can fight for critical race theory to be taught, this is good, because more students that are much younger need to know this. We don't need to be today years old fighting
Not
this
at all.
out.
And, you know, to our soulmates, again, we bring you facts, we bring you stories, but here's the opportunity that we all can learn something together.
More learning here. The Department of Homeland Security says the recent leak of a draft Supreme Court opinion, it sparked threats of violence. So Axios says a memo by the DHS says it's expecting that the number of threats to increase if the court officially overturns Roe versus Wade. Intelligence officials in Washington, D.C. say they flagged about 25 threats just on social media. And they've seen posts that encourage violence at a protest. Now, some of the threads have advised people to use their cars to ram demonstrators. And earlier this month, someone started a fire at an anti-abortion organization's building in Oregon.
Debt Collective, the country's first union for debt collectors, is calling out President Biden for failing to act on student loan forgiveness. Debt Collective says the union just erased $1.7 of unpaid tuition and debt for nearly 500 Black women who attended North Carolina and HBCU Bennett College. Now, the collective has been active for nearly 10 years. They said they decided to partner with Bennett College in the hopes of calling attention to the disproportionate impact the student debt crisis is having on Black women, and to push Biden to keeping his campaign promise on student debt elimination. Activists add this is something the government should be doing, not a group of activists from Occupy Wall Street.
And the NAACP says Mississippi failed to use billions of COVID-19 funds to help people of color. The NAACP, its Mississippi State Conference, are pushing for a federal investigation into why poor Black people were shut out of receiving COVID-19 funding. After struggling to access supplies and proper health care, Mississippi's minority residents outpaced the rest of the country in COVID infections and death. According to the NAACP, when community groups and faith leaders needed supplies to share with the community, the state failed to deliver personal protective equipment and instead invested in testing and vaccination sites that were inaccessible to poor Black people without transportation.
An independent arbitrator says a police detective in Connecticut's largest city should have his administrative leave reversed. This comes after he and another officer were taken off the job earlier this year amid allegations of insensitivity in their handling of separate cases where black women were found dead in their apartment. In each of the two cases, the families of Lauren Smith Fields and Brenda Lee Rawls said police did not notify them of the woman's death in a timely manner. The arbitrator said he was not convinced the police department had proven a condition exists to justify placing the detective on leave. Back in January, the mayor directed the department to place the detectives in the case on leave while an internal investigation into the handling of the woman's death was being conducted. He called it unacceptable failure. Those police department policies involving the death of those family members were not followed.
A Karen got caught on camera losing her cool with the restaurant manager and a black man who recorded the episode. Take a look.
Money was given to you, ma'am, and you said no thank you. So I have done my part. I would like it back. It's as simple as that. Yes, it was paid though, ma'am. You rejected the payment. What part of you rejecting the payment don't you recall? Because I know it wasn't you, it was your Dr. Phil. Excuse me, sir. Hi, one of 4 black men in Santa Barbara. Are you doing your, now I'm a racist, terrible person. Oh, sorry. Just because you're an obnoxious guy, it's not your fault that you're black, of course. Just obnoxious. Just obnoxious. I'm against obnoxious people, to be clear, not against the black people.
Is she a comedian? Okay. The incident happened earlier this month at a seaside restaurant in Santa Barbara, California. The Karen was caught on camera arguing with the manager after her PayPal card was rejected the night before. The manager reportedly kept the woman's ID and told her to come back the next day with the payment. The woman then turned her anger on Ian Solomon, a local DJ. So this is unbelievable. You think we're past the whole Karen days. You know, it makes me always go back to the Karen in Central Park, and we know something actually did come good out of that. Kristen Cooper got him a little show, right? Little bird watching show. I think on A&E. Yeah, we're going to say big show, not little show. But, you know, again, we see what continues to happen over and over in our country, and it just saddens me that we can't get past these things.
I thought this video was laughable, honestly. I watched it because I wasn't sure where it was going at first when I saw it before the show. And I was like, okay, where's this going? How do we tie into this? But she's so funny to me. The fact that she looked over and she realized that she made a mistake. She was just like, oh, one of 4 black men? Okay, now I'm a racist. She realized subconsciously I wasn't supposed to say that, but then she was in.
She was comfortable saying it, though.
Yeah, she was comfortable, but I don't think she wanted to say that at first. She was just so hot. She looked over and she said it subconsciously, and then she had to follow it. She had to keep it going because, like you said, Romeo, this lady's a comedian.
Yeah, she had to keep it going. And in fact, she knew she was going to go viral because she said when this video goes viral, you know, we'll point to this video and call me a racist again. So she knew that she had already been caught out there. So it was just,
well, hey, don't subconsciously be racist. Then
and don't be mad you don't have the money in the bank.
Okay, I mean, that's it. Part. Don't be subconsciously racist that you accidentally say it out loud and then now you're going viral. So it's all her fault.
Wow. Yeah. It's definitely all her fault. All right, well, 4 teachers say they were fired from a private school for calling out racism. Teachers at Sedgwick Academy say they are suing the school for firing them out of retaliation for acknowledging their racial discrimination. They say the school's termination of black administrators last summer was racially motivated. They allege the school wanted to restore the academy to what it used to be. They say teachers were told to forget the past and stop talking about racial issues in African American history classes and to, quote, teach both sides of slavery. In their lawsuit, they are demanding the school reinstate the teachers and also compensate them for the money and opportunities they lost.
A high school student in upstate New York is coming under fire for its 3rd racist incident at that school at a sporting event within a 3-month time span. So in February, fans at Rockland County High School basketball games repeatedly were being shouted monkey noises at while they were making free throws. Then this week at a middle school track meet, a 7th grader used the N-word against a competing athlete. 2 other harmful instances took place with LGBTQ plus students, but there are no leads for those who are responsible. In April, the district adopted a diversity, equity, and inclusivity and education policy and the creation of an equity task force as well. However, no action has been taken. The local NAACP chapter says that they are not happy that the task force is still in the planning stages 3 months later.
So high school students in Texas took their senior prank way too far, costing the school not hundreds but thousands of dollars in damages. The chaos took place last week at Frisco Memorial High School when a group of students carried out an annual senior prank. Now, the original joke was approved by the high school and involved students placing post-it notes throughout the campus. Staff members were on site to supervise the event, which was supposed to be a joyous celebration. Instead, things took a turn when several students began setting off fire alarms, spraying fire extinguishers all over the school, damaging furniture, and throwing paint on the wall. The employees present tried to get a handle on the situation, but it got out of control. The police were called. Investigators are now trying to identify the students that are involved.